And you have to be able to anticipate it's going to happen here so that you're flowing in the right direction. I mean, if you're on second base and something's happening at home plate, you're dead. I'd say when I first started becoming interested in photography, women photographers were a curiosity. I mean, there were a token few, but it was a curiosity. It's funny, I don't think of myself as being a woman photographer. A lot of schools and organizations have asked me to speak about that. You know, could you come here and give us a lecture about women in photojournalism? I don't even think of myself as that. I just think of myself as a photographer. I do notice, I never notice when I'm the only woman at a game or on the field. I never feel awkward or odd about it. For the most part, the guys are good to me. Actually, for the feature, maybe we can get some pictures of you signing autographs, because that, you know, I know you do that a lot. You accommodate the kids, so. Generally, I like to arrive at a game early. First of all, you avoid all the crowds going into the stadium. And also, you get batting practice and players out on the field. And often, our sports department will do a feature on a player. Somebody's batting incredibly well, or somebody's made a lot of errors, or there's some interest in one particular player. And that's a good time to do feature work on them. I was asked to do a feature on Howard Johnson, which is one of the reasons I arrived at the park early. Howard had been on the disabled list for a while, and we needed some art on him. He'd come off and he'd hit two home runs, which is the first time he'd done that in his career, or his professional career anyway, his first day back from the disabled list. So of course that generated interest in him. And players are usually real cooperative, and of course they're much more relaxed during batting practice. I just need something kind of casual here. All right, he looks good. I'd have to say my photography career began when I was 15 with the hope that I might be able to take pictures better than I could cook. You see, I was not doing terribly well in home economics, and the only other option I had was to take photography, and I figured that I had a Kodak Instamatic, so I could kill the world with my pictures. And one thing led to another. I became photo editor of my high school paper. At that point, I announced to my mother that I was going to be a photographer. My mother said to me, "You're crazy. Women don't do that sort of thing. You're going to be a teacher like I am. It's something, you know, once you get married and have kids, you can always fall back on." I knew then and there I wasn't going to be a teacher, but I just let her believe it. Came time to go to college. I wanted to go to a good journalism school. My mother wanted me to go to a small school in Pennsylvania and major in education. My mother was footing the bill, so you know who won. And I walked into my first education class as a freshman, and when the professor said to me, "Do you have any questions?" I raised my hand and I said, "Yeah, how do I transfer out of this class?" So that killed me in education, and I was forced to go to art because that was the only way I can get some photography courses. For the past 7.5 years, I've been employed by Newsday, which is a New York-based newspaper, and it's the largest afternoon paper in the country. Right now, I'm working in the sports department, which is kind of ironic because when I was in high school and college, as photo editor of my papers there, I never wanted to do sports. I always gave those assignments to the guys because I hated sports. But now I find it a real challenge. I think it might be one of the biggest challenges as far as timing goes. I'd say the majority of sports photographers use extremely long telephoto lenses, 1,000 millimeter, 600s, 400s, 300s. And they do that for a reason. The impact of a photo with a long telephoto lens is so much greater than something taken wide with a lot of space around it. Good sports photography doesn't have to have all the appendages of a player in it. You know, if you cut, sometimes you'll see a picture that is missing. You know, it's cropped in real tight. They've cropped the player's foot off or something like that. That sometimes is very effective. When I have a picture, I get a sense. I know that I've got something. Sports as a steady diet is something I've only been doing for a month now. Most newspapers don't specialize photographers, or at least my working knowledge, most don't. I came to Newsday as a general assignment photographer, and I'm still a general assignment photographer. My first 5 years, I did whatever came down the pike. You know, spot news, which can be anything from a fire to a car crash or something like that, bomb scare, to feature work, which would be a person in their environment, or a Cub Scout meeting or something like that, and sports. And you were general assignment, which meant you did a little bit of everything. After about 5 years of doing that, I really wanted to get my teeth into something which would give me more time. I thought at that point that a long time for an assignment would be a week. And I realized the only way to do that was to come up with some ideas and try and sell editors on them. And one thing that I'd always wanted to do was to go to Vietnam. So about 2 years ago, I proposed this idea that I'd like to go to Vietnam, see what it's like 10 years after the Americans left, see how the Amerasian children, are the ones that were left behind that were fathered by American servicemen, what's their life like, what's the economy like now, what's happening. So I wrote up this proposal and gave it to one of the assistant managing editors, and he liked the idea. And then it took me a year to get visa clearance from Vietnam, and in October of '85, I left with my bags packed for about a month, and it was incredible. I think the greatest payoff, being a photojournalist or a staff photographer on a newspaper, is that you never do the same thing every day. I'm not a 9-to-5 person. I would hate being stuck at a desk. I would hate being an editor. It's something I'd never want to do. But the best thing is that you do something different every day and you get to meet a lot of people.